So hello and welcome to Own Your Divine Light Show. I am Janet Miller and I invite you to listen to the transformational life of Dr. Tamaey Gottuso. Tamaey is a sought-after metaphysician, conscious transformational leader, dream life accelerator, conscious channel, and manifesting catalyst. Her greatest passion is to assist people what Tamaey calls their soul acceleration. So people can powerfully and purposely synergize their strengths and talents to manifest their dreams and rise to their highest potential. Welcome, Tamaey. I'm so thrilled you're here.
Hi, Janet. I always hear that introduction. I go, wow, that sounds really impressive. How did a little, poor girl from the Midwest, become a doctor and have these beautiful accolades? And I receive them all. And it's a pleasure to be with you.
Oh, thank you for that. Because your life story is very interesting, and and where you grew up, and I know people would appreciate hearing it, and I would love, and they also would understand and what you desire, and what you've manifested in your life. So just to just start with the beginning would be great.
Sure. Well, it's an important story. I've done many interview series, and my first interview series was interviewing people like myself who, had a beautiful website and were very successful, and thinking, yeah, but how can I be like them? And so my interview series was really getting the backstory, because it's so powerful for anyone listening in, wherever you're at, in what stage of your journey, you matter, your significance matters. And it doesn't matter who your parents were, if you've been abused, if you've, had an addiction, you always have the power to choose, right? Yes. Your reality. And that's why, my story and what I'm doing today is very purposeful. I grew up in a single, my mother was a single mom, and she left my very abusive father, who was an abusive alcoholic, and she left him with 3 little kids and moved from North Carolina to Indiana. And we lived in an 8 by 24 foot mobile home, a trailer. I mean, think about that, 8 foot. It always blows my mind when I talk about it. I'm like, I'm 5'2". That's not a lot of space. And,
no.
With no running water, no electricity. Wow. So for the first 10 years of my life, it was in deep poverty. And so what comes with that, all the dysfunction in and around the victim poverty consciousness, was really the beginnings of my life. And I didn't know anything else. And, fast forward, when I was 10, we moved into a 900 square foot home, which isn't that big, the 4 of us. And it was when I started to go to school that I realized how poor I was. And so in junior high and early, elementary school, I really had started to see, the shame and the guilt about growing up the way I did, because my friends had homes and 2 parents, and they went on fancy vacations. And so, it just was like an 800-pound gorilla going, and then hiding who I was and pretending to be somebody I wasn't. So all of those patterns were very integrated into my being at a very young age. And it wasn't until I was a senior in high school that I did an internship for a doctor who was a transformational leader. He was an inspirational speaker. He was a normal guy. He was college educated, and he was a Christian man. And he was the very first male role model I had in my life, who said to me, Tamaey, there is nothing that you cannot be or do or have. And it was literally like, I just stopped and said, what did you just say? I didn't get it. What do you mean? But I had blame, I didn't know that I could create a new reality. I just thought the life that I had lived, was kind of setting the stage for the rest of my life. But Bud was like all of us, right? There is someone or someones in our lives that shows up at exactly the right time. It's all beautifully, divinely orchestrated. And Bud was the first one who said, you can be or do or have anything. And so I believed him.
Yeah.
I believed
Wonderful.
him. And he helped me get into college, and, you know, long story short, I now have 5 college degrees. I'm officially a doctor. There was a lot of teachers and mentors and healing my stuff along the way. And I still go through that today. But I had a dream of so much more. And my dreams, which were really anchored in my young life, right? My trauma in my young life, my dream world was my escape. So isn't that interesting that what I do today is to help people manifest magical lives? That foundation was set in my abusive childhood.
Fantastic.
You cannot teach what you've not experienced. So the times that I've just cried out, God, why have I had to endure so much suffering? He comes back and says, my beautiful girl, you cannot teach what you've not experienced. So that's why today I am who I am. And I have this extraordinary story. You know, I always tell my clients, there's nothing that you cannot tell me that I've not personally been through, and bankrupt and divorce and death of my college boyfriend who was killed by a drunk driver, and cancer 3 times, and all of it. I've been through so much, but all of that experience, life is always for us, Janet. And I didn't realize that until even in the last few years. Life is always for us, and it's our perspective. And if we can pan out and, you know, go, wow, what is this experience trying to teach me? How is it benefiting me? What is the lesson? Then your path in life can just be one of more ease and grace. So I hope that just gives you a little idea of who I am and how I got to where I'm at today.
That is amazing. I mean, you're the phoenix coming out of the ashes. You really are. I mean, you've just said, nothing's going to stop me. And, you know, my mantra is never give up. And that was your mantra, never give up, because you just kept moving through whatever challenge you got. You just kept going because you knew there was something there. It was like you just knew, unconsciously, subconsciously, you knew, and you had a greater desire to make your life better. It was so deep, and it's so beautiful that you got it so young. I mean, to have that kind of a mentor in your life is a true gift.
It is.
And I think the more people suffer, you got it really early in a way, because it helped you get on this beautiful path. And now your whole now probably your contract coming in was to help people. And this was how you had to, you know, manifest it, which is not the easiest way. And people, you know, who don't understand what we're saying, but would say, you know, it's amazing that you got through it, but look at, you're an example and inspiration. And then you help people get to where you've gotten, which is the most beautiful and generous thing you can do with you. It really is. It's the most beautiful and generous thing you can do. So thank you for that. So you told me now how you figured out all your talents. Now, you have a lot of talents. Now, how did you pick and choose those different things?
You know, well, this is a good one. This is a good conversation to have, because it's a question most asked. I'm good at all of these things, but how do I know what my gift really is? What is that mission that I volunteered for, you know, before I came into this reality? So I'll just use my story just as an example. So, you know, I'm very strong in business. I love to business coach and help women build online businesses. For the last 30 years of my life, I had 10 certifications in the fitness world and yoga and Pilates, and that was just my hobby, right? But I'm so good at it, right? So there we've got this skill set, and we've got the business and all of these talents and gifts that served me at the time. But now that I'm at this second stage of my life, which most people are probably listening in on this interview series, what's next? So what I did, and what I tell my clients is, let's sort of tell me all your gifts, all your talents, all these things you're really, really good at. And then I say, well, what do you, on your free time, if you're Googling, what are you searching? What are you looking for? For me, it was always enlightenment, spirituality, teachers, meditations, spiritual stuff all the time, right? Since I was like young, since 18, since I met that doctor, God, spirit, source, what manifesting. And so that, when I looked at that, that really in my soul, in my gut was like, that's why I'm here. And then I look back in my life, I've been a mentor, sharing my story. I've helped women start businesses, and I've integrated. I've always been a leader and a teacher. All of these things I look at, what am I doing? I'm a teacher. And source is my anchor, and then my spirituality. So it's sort of looking at your whole life, right? What things you're really good at. Now, see, I'm really, really good at fitness, but I don't love it anymore. I don't love it. I officially
that happens.
Yeah. And so that's how right? It's not jazzing you. What's really jazzing you right now? So that's how you find your way. And that's how I found my way to coaching and speaking and teaching and writing, because that's my heart. That's what
that is beautiful. So this goes into, you have this amazing life that you co-created, and this is what you say. And I think a lot of people would like to know how this is sort of what you've given us a lead into that idea. How do you co-create such a life that you've created for yourself?
Well, it all starts. So I'll just,
go. Yeah.
Well, I'll just say first and foremost, I had a brother and sister. So there were three of us, right? Same parents, same messed up childhood, same everything. And today, my brother and sister are severe alcoholics.
Oh, sad.
With some drugs in there, I'm sure. A messed up life. So I share that piece because it was a choice.
Yes.
It was a choice. And even today, my brother and sister have the choice to choose a different life. But they've lived so much of their life in this reality that in their minds, it's too late to change. And I know a lot of people can relate.
Oh, absolutely. Yep.
There was something within me. There's something within each and every one of us. I'm not special, right? We all have it. That inner aspect of us, that divine part of us, that exists. And if along the way, we've all been able to tap into that when we're excited, when we're confident, when we're sure, and so for some miraculous reason, which I believe I planned even before I came into this human experience, that there were things that I wanted to accomplish. I volunteered for a mission. And as a young person, I felt different. I knew I was in this family that was so messed up, and I was little, and I just couldn't make the connect. Like, why am I here? What does all of this mean? And so meeting that doctor was the catalyst. And we all have something or someone, right, that ignites that remembering, because there's nothing that we're not learning. I mean, we're not learning anything new in this reality, in this life. We're not learning anything. We're simply remembering who we already are. So for me, I allowed that. And of course it was like this, right? Because I was so messed up from my childhood. It was a lot of work trying to deprogram all of that.
Yes.
So as I'm doing my work, and I kind of, let my dreams, I wanted to travel the world. I had all of these things. So I went into the travel business, and it just pulled me forward. So my dreaming, that's why I say to people listening in, your dreams are your real and true reality. What you're dreaming about is your higher self, that inner guidance pulling you towards it at every moment of every day. And you've got to simply pay attention to the clues, right? If you have a dream, what's showing up today to pull you in that direction, right? So it's living a conscious life. You ebb and flow. There are days, when I had cancer, this last time, which was last January, it was my third diagnosis. I was really sick for like about 9 months. So I had to sort of step out of my coaching and go through this experience. And I, thinking, oh my God, I've gone through all of this personal and spiritual development, thought that I had all of this behind me, but what was the teaching moment? But that extreme experience created a bigger desire for me to live the reality I'm living today. So it's all perspective. It's all following your heart, knowing that if you have the power to dream it, you have the ability to achieve it. And hiring a mentor, I've had coaches since I was 18. I have one today. I have two, one for my spiritual, one for my business. Spend the money, the money, because you can't get there. If you're not there now, you need some assistance. True. And most people get caught up in the money. I'm scared. I don't know how I'm going to afford it. If God, source, universe has brought a mentor into your life, there's another doorway that's going to help you get to where you're going. And you just got to have the courage to step into it. Absolutely. And on the other side is magic and miracles. So that's what I've continued to do, Janet, over and over and over and over. And that's why I'm here today. It's
wonderful. And it's so inspirational, because all the things you've just talked about, I've walked through many of those doors that you have, with as far as the dysfunctional family, the alcoholism. 26 years alcohol-free myself now, and family that just, lives in that other realm that I've stepped out of. And I just know that it wasn't for me, and that there was something more. And so I just keep going, and, I just keep opening those doors, even though can be scared to death, like you say. I'm like, once I've gone through that door and I get to the other side, I say, it's not that bad. I was scared, but you know what? Now that I'm here, this is so great. I got to do this again. And that's what keeps me going. Like, I can do this again. And that's what you did. You just kept going through those doors and saying, okay, let's just keep getting through this. And and look at where you've gotten, which is so beautiful. Thank you.
I'm still walking through the fear, the next door, it's never ending growth opportunity. But the problem is the majority of people stay stuck in the fear and the comfortable. If you're into just being comfortable, you're never going to grow, and your life is going to be mediocre. And that's not the life that's designed for yourself before you came here.
Oh, yes. That is a huge teaching, too. If you're comfortable, then you're not doing it right.
That's right. Yeah. Get uncomfortable. That's my daily goal. Where can I stretch myself, even just a little today?
Yeah.
Is it going out when I don't really want to go out? I mean, I say yes to dinners or lunches, even when I don't want to, because when I feel the resistance, that spirit saying, Tamaey, this is a growth opportunity. Through that doorway is the connection that's going to help you get the next thing that you want. And that's the big thing. I mean, that's the juicy stuff. When you start to go, okay, where am I resisting? And walk into it. Oh my God. I'll give you a perfect example. I didn't want to go to a yoga class. I'm a morning girl. I like morning yoga, but my schedule was busy. So I did a night class, and I didn't really want to go, but I was committed to saying yes. And so I went, and the gal beside me got to chatting. I told her I was a life coach, and, I had an online business. And long story short, we ended up going to lunch. She wanted help building her online business, and she hired me as her coach.
Fantastic. An opportunity that was coming for you, and the universe said, you've got to go in the evening now.
That's right.
This is why we set up your schedule this way today.
Exactly. So use that example if you're listening in, where are you resisting? Yes. Because the ego does a great job of what it's supposed to, is to keep you safe. Exactly. Right. So when the fight or flight, like the resistance, the ego is going to do all it can to justify, to keep you stuck in that fear.
It's so true. It's so true. That ego, we love our ego, but yet we have to go past it. We have to say, thank you for sharing, but keep going.
There's a beautiful, integration as you stay on this journey of integrating the ego and integrating, your authentic self, and really coming into alignment, with both of these beautiful aspects of yourself.
Yes, and that is so true. And I've learned that myself. And with this, the choice is sort of like, it's almost like a pet peeve of mine now, because people don't understand they have a choice. And when you say, like, your family, they have choices. I remember when I first learned I really had a choice, I said to my husband, "You have choices." And he'd say, "No, I don't. I don't have a choice." And I'm like, "Oh, that's not true. You do have a choice." Well, now he doesn't say that anymore, but it's because it's being responsible. It's stepping into the responsibility that we are co-creators of our life. And people, the more we are understanding that, the more we can be responsible and say, "Oh, well, then this is because of this." And we just look at the link, and it's an interesting path to understand how your life is created. But also, I love to talk about, you work with the law of attraction, and you have a really beautiful pureness and clarity about how that works in people's lives. Can you share a little on that?
And this is, I know we're going to talk about the free gift at the end, but I'll just talk about.
Sure, you can talk about it now.
The very simple, we make this life so much harder. We create our struggling unnecessarily. We just do. And, in step one of the law of attraction is just getting clear on what is it that you want in life. What do you want in life, right? What do you want to, and most people dream so small because the ego doesn't want to dream big, because the ego then will be the personality self will be disappointed, right? So let's keep ourselves small, don't dream big. So, law of attraction really is getting clear on what is it. If you can dream it, if you can think about $100 million company, you can create $100 million company.
And that gives me chills.
You could not dream or think about it if it were not accessible.
Wow.
Right? So really getting clear on what is it that you want to create in your life. And if you can then go, well, why do I want that? Why do I want a $100 million company? The freedom, the just the joy of it, of creating it, so the why, if you can attach a why to it, it creates a deeper energetic meaning to it, which gives you a pull, right? It's going to help inspire you to move forward. Yes. And then the second step of law of attraction, it's very elementary, is just, you ask and you shall receive. Boom, boom. As soon as you put that desire, and most times we're asking all day long, every day, Janet, just by observing, oh, I love that car. Oh, I love that house. Oh, that is just sort of going into your little dream box, your vibrational dream box, right? So you don't even have to consciously ask, because source and your inner gut, they know it all already. We don't even have to ask for anything literally ever again, because we've got enough stuff in our dream box to last lifetimes. But here's the piece that people don't understand or miscreate, is the last step is you've got to align vibrationally with what it is that that's already in your dream box, right? So what does that mean? Yeah, oh, I get that, Tamaey. Whatever's in my box, I just got to want it. No, you've literally got everything that you desire has a vibration to it. We are vibrational beings. Universe, source is an energy. And if you're like, oh, I want this, universe says, okay, you want that. It can be negative or positive. Whatever your predominant vibrational offering is, that's what the universe is responding. So how do you know what you're creating in your life? You look at your life. What does your life look like today? That's going to tell you where you are vibrating and what universe is responding to. So anything that you have in your heart that you're wanting to desire today, I'll give you a perfect example. Last week, I drove to the beach. There's a beautiful home down there that I want. I love the neighborhood. I spent hours just walking in the neighborhood. I stopped in front of the house, had a conversation with the house, and there was no separation of the house and me. I was in it. I felt it. I was appreciating it. I went to the beach. I visualized it. And I just sort of milked that whole thing, right? And I do that often. We don't have to keep repeating to the universe, but if it feels good, right, that's going to help ignite it a little more. So that it's done. that it's done. I connected vibrationally to it. It's done. There's nothing I have to do. And I just go on with my life. So this is the piece where people would get stuck. Well, yeah, but how are you going to manifest that house? How or when? Where's your house? The minute you start that energy, that's a negative vibration. And so it slows down the manifestation process. Right? So I know 1,000% that home, that neighborhood, that beautiful car, you know, and I use stuff as an example because that's what most people are wanting, right?
Sure.
But so that's the big secret. And I don't know if you remember the Secret movie, right?
Yes.
That came out in 2006. So they did a survey, Janet, on people who had watched the movie, and only 2% of all millions and millions and millions of people who watched that movie were able to manifest their dream life. So they're like, oh, this law of attraction stuff, you know, what you can think about. I can think about the house and think about the neighborhood and go, oh, but there's a disconnect if I don't really believe it.
You're right.
Because the subconscious belief around anything is the attractor, not the thought process, not just the visualizing. You can visualize all day long. You can say affirmations all day long. But if you don't believe that you have the power to create worlds, it'll never happen. It'll never happen.
Yeah. The belief system is what kind of stops us in our tracks.
Huge. It's the thing, right? You don't believe it, forget it.
Yeah.
So you start small, right? So how do you overcome that? You start small. Oh, I want to manifest a cup of coffee today. I don't know how it's going to come. I don't know when it's going to come. I'm just going to smell the coffee and feel it and just be an appreciation of it. And then you let it go. And as you go throughout your day, boom, you pass a coffee shop and there's your opportunity, right? So you got to let go of how all the stuff shows up. Maybe a neighbor brings you the coffee, you know, a parking spot. I'm going to manifest a great parking spot today. Boom, 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 boom. And you believe that it's a small, so that's just the fun evidence. And that's just how you sort of baby step your way into dreaming big and believing that you really do have the ability to create any reality that you desire.
And that's such a beautiful way to tell people, because I think they can understand it that way. It's like start small. I mean, really, it doesn't matter. And it doesn't matter how old you are or when you do it, because you just never know when it's going to, you know, if this is what you want now, just go for it and don't wait anymore. I mean,
and the thing is, Jana, it's just, you know what, your inner self, your soul self, your authentic self, that part of you that's housed in this human body knows where you're going anyways. So I like to say, you don't even need to go through all the rigmarole. And if it feels good to think about manifesting your dream, then think about it. But here's the very shortcut, is to just be in joy. When you're in joy, 97% of your day looking for aspects that feel good and appreciation and gratitude and, oh, I just love this beautiful day, and thank you for the bed that I slept in and the sunshine, and oh, look at those beautiful flowers, and oh, I'm appreciating my friendships, and I love my family and my children. I mean, appreciation automatically aligns you with source. That's the shortcut.
I love that. That is so true. Joy is the vibration you have to connect with to really have that this is what you're telling the universe, God, source, whatever you want to call it. This is where it says, oh, she's here. She's where she needs to be to get that, and that.
You automatically in joy align with everything you've ever desired. So that's the amazing thing. So forget everything I've just said. Just focus on joy and being happy and authentically happy for this moment, this reality that you have right now. You automatically align to everything that you want. And so this is the fun part. And as you start to really live this way, right, which is how I got to right here in my life, in those joy-filled moments, there's nothing that fills my heart more than being on my yoga mat, right? And when I'm in the rhythm of my flow and the music, and boom, boom, just out of the blue, I'll get a business idea, or I'll think about somebody, oh, I should call that person. That's the least path of resistance, because I'm not thinking about anything but the joy of my yoga flow. And then source can come in, boom, that's the action, or that's the inspiration that now I take the inspired action step on. That's how I've created a magical life. Wow. I pay attention to the inspiration that comes through when I'm having fun.
Love it. That's really, I love that, because, you know, I've never thought of it that way. I do like that. That's very, yeah, that's really inspiring. I love that. That makes so much sense too. When you're in your joy and things come through, don't brush it aside. Hold on to that and just take a note if you have to. Put it down and say, this is my next move. This is what I have to do next. I love it.
How it happens. 97% of our life should be in joy and fun and excitement, because then we are in alignment with source, and that's when the path of least resistance, the ideas come through, boom, you take the inspired action step and you manifest a magical life, which isn't magic at all. It's simply just aligning to what's already there waiting for you. But it's the fear, right? It's this conditioning from our past, right? This, like, we need to push and effort and force, and it's never going to work that way. You've got to get yourself into vibrational alignment first, and then take the action from the alignment.
Yes. And people might say, well, what does she mean by alignment? Alignment is, like, to me, it's your life is flowing effortlessly.
It's feeling good. It's when you're happy. That's what alignment is. When am I in alignment with source? When I feel good.
Right.
That's it. It's that simple.
And it's also like synchronicity. It's like, oh, that synchronicity started happening. That was a big word in the middle of the 2000s. Like, that was the big word. Now it's alignment. So the words keep changing, but they're similar, because you're just following this thread of, you know, be aware of in your life, to live consciously, to live in the present. Like you're saying, you have to stay conscious, because the present is the gift. That is our gift.
So when I was on that walk and I went into that neighborhood, and really just, I was so in alignment, and I went to the beach and I sat and I felt the water, and it was like I felt the water alive. It was this energy that came up and was sort of playing with me, and it came up again and splashed me, and then I said, well, hello, it's nice to see you. And then I looked out at that very moment, the dolphins appeared right in front of me, and I just, how could they not? I was so in, I was one with source in all of that. And I was uber aware of what was going on around me. And then here was the fun part. I felt complete with that. And I went and got a pedicure, and appreciating that. I came out to my car, and the car beside me, my dream car that I literally just called the dealer. Got all the details, planned the whole car, was this close beside. I could barely get in my door because my dream car, every part of my dream car was right beside me.
Wow.
And then get this, Janet, and this just happened last week. It was so fascinating to be in awareness of what I was thinking and feeling and paying attention. That's where manifesting is cool. So there's my car, and I'm leaving, and I was going to come home, and I thought, oh, I'm going to go to my favorite place for dinner. I wasn't even hungry, but the thought popped in randomly, and I thought, that's interesting. I'm going to go with it. I go to my favorite place, and I got out of my car, massive rainbow over me.
Oh.
And it was like Source said to me, I just wanted you to see how in alignment you were. And this is confirmation. It was an extraordinary day.
Yes. Yes, totally.
It was, so, I went back the next day, the same identical experience. The dolphins came out. It was just, I was like, wow, I so get this.
Yeah.
I didn't think about work. I didn't think about clients. I thought, how can I be in joy today? What feels good today? What inspiration is coming through that's leading me to the next? If I wouldn't have gone to my favorite place for dinner when I wasn't even hungry, I would have missed out on that magical rainbow.
Wow.
And that confirmation of source saying, look at this day and how aligned you were. And we showed you every step of the way, with the water, with the dolphins, with the car, with the rainbow.
Wow. And you were listening, and they're saying, we hear you because you're listening, and it's beautiful. And the dolphins to me are welcoming you into the neighborhood, actually.
Oh yeah. It was like, wow, I got chills right now.
Yeah.
Saying that. It was really really cool.
It was definitely a welcome. I felt that as soon as you said it. And I love the ocean myself. So that's in my dreams. That's in my dream box. I always go to the ocean in the summer, but it's an hour and a half away. It's not next door.
Sure.
But I'll still go. My husband and I, we are ocean lovers. And I grew up as a child having a beach house. So I was very lucky that way.
Yeah.
So, most kids, I didn't think I was at the time, because it was hard to leave your friends in the city. I wanted to be on the drill team, and I couldn't do it because my parents wouldn't drive me back and forth. They said, you have this beach house. And of course, now I look back at it and say, wow, we were so fortunate, because not everybody had that, and it was a walk to the beach. It was right down the street. It was, and it was, it was just enough. It was perfect. It was a, one floor house, just a small little place, but perfect.
So think about, so now look at your life, because you had that experience, the wanting, the desire of that is so much stronger.
It is.
Right? Because you had that beautiful experience, and that's the momentum, right? Just every time you tap into that, the appreciation for what you had as a child, and now that desire is so strong. That it's pulling you towards it. It can't not happen for you, Janet, because you're following the steps. You're in the beautiful energy and the alignment of that, right? It's trusting, and then you just let it go, right?
Yes, I've let it go. I had to. Well, I originally had a real definite path to it, and then my husband said, I'm not ready for owning another house. I really don't want to take care of it. So I felt a little bad that I was trying to put that on him, because he would do a lot of the work. And I said, I'll just wait on this then. We're just going to wait and see what happens. So the timing, you know what, when it's the right time is when there's zero efforting. Yes. Right. So that was just telling you it's not quite time. It's still there. So this is where people are like, oh, if I push, an effort, that's not how manifesting is done anymore. We just got to go, okay, that will just unfold with zero efforting. And then it's the right time. Yes. But see, that's where the suffering is created, Janet, when so many people try to push that. You could have pushed that and suffered, right? And went on and caused a lot of unnecessary angst, but you acknowledged it and said, oh, not time. So high five to you. You did it. Yeah. Right? You honored that. Thank you. Yeah, it wasn't the easiest thing either, because it was definitely a dream, and I kept talking about it. But at least he was honest. And I said, I appreciate your honesty. That I needed to hear that. So now I can step back. And like you say, if it's supposed to happen, if it does happen, it'll be effortless, and we will just fall right into it.
You know what? Because God can shift him in a minute when it's the right time. He may wake up one day, you go, well, you know what? That kind of sounds like fun. Redoing a house.
Let's go look around.
There you go. You just don't know, right? So just know that that's there for you. And if you can dream it, it's absolutely achievable.
Yes. I've had a lot of dreams that have come true. So when you share this, I look at my life and say, I've had some amazing dreams that come true. I wanted to travel. My husband, he's an engineer. So we started traveling the world. I mean, we lived in Brazil. We lived in Australia. We lived, all over, and for 2 years or more. And it was such an experience. And we lived all over the U.S. And it's been fun because, I learned about so many different kinds of people and cultures. And, just the world opened up to me. And I just love traveling. And I travel as much as I can. I mean, I'd rather travel. So I said, okay, maybe I'm supposed to travel rather than own a house, a beach house. Maybe that's more important, but we'll see. We don't know.
You never have to choose. And that's where our limited, small self, our personality self, because we don't know how we can travel the world and have a beautiful beach home and lots of money in the bank. That's where we acknowledge, okay, I see my limiting belief, but I know that if I can dream all that, then Source has a way to provide. Source will bring, who knows, maybe somebody random calls you and says, hey, Janet, my husband and I are going to travel Europe for a year. We'd love for you and your husband to come babysit our beach home for a year.
Oh, what a great opportunity.
You don't know, right?
True.
Some of the most crazy things. I'll share this because it's just happened this morning. It was super cool. So I do a community coaching call every Tuesday. On Tuesday, one of the clients, I do a teaching, and this was really all about asking, and what we're talking about right now. She's a health coach, and she wants to work from home. I took her through this thing of all these pieces of this job that she really, really, really wants. So I had an email and then we closed out the call, off we went. I had an email already scheduled to go out to my list, but last night I thought, I'm going to include this recording as a gift to my community so they can hear this juicy call. It was so good. So at 6 a.m., I woke up, my email, a gal got that email. She listened to the recording while she was getting ready for work. She said, oh my God, Tamaey, I listened to the whole call, and I listened to that Brenda girl. She's a health coach and a meditation and yoga teacher, and exactly what she wants. She said, I'm that too. And that's my business. And I need more health coaches, and exactly what she wants, I have.
Wow.
Connect us. And I connected them, and it's working out. She's going to work for this. That happened in like 24 hours.
Isn't that amazing?
That's what I'm saying. We never, ever know.
Right.
I followed the nudge of including that message, that recording in the email. I'd already planned this, and boom, boom, boom. I didn't know that I was going to be the person to help that happen. But that's how God uses each of us. That's why we got to get out in the mix and have conversations like this, etc.
Yes, that is so true.
Isn't that cool?
And it's all about generosity. Look at how generous you were sharing that with people, because you knew there was something there. And then boom, the other person walked in with her generosity, and this person's whole life is changing. It's just beautiful. It's all in alignment.
My heart is like, that's why I love to help people really master the art of manifesting and really, really understand it, because we've had this manifesting secret sort of, it doesn't work. I know law of attraction, but you got to understand really, really how it works. And it's so much deeper than just visualizing and being in la la land, right?
Yes. And that was, thank you for sharing that, because I know this is going to help so many people listening. For me, you've opened up all these other thoughts in my head that I wasn't even aware of. I've changed all my thinking on so many ways now. Thank you for that. That was just like, woo.
You're
very
so
blessed on that one.
Yeah.
So we talked about a lot, and
a lot of stuff.
It's been great. And all right, I love how you also said, you talk about coming to Earth School. We kind of touched on that, how we have a contract, and we all experience it in our unique ways. And I've heard about Earth School. I don't know who's listening if they exactly know what that is. Would you like to explain a little what you think Earth School is to them?
Sure. And whether you believe it or not,
right.
What I know for sure is we are spiritual beings having a human experience. We've all heard that. But what does that mean? That means before this incarnation, your spiritual self, your soul self, resided in another dimension, right? And it's not out there it's not up there. It's actually here, but at a different vibration. Right. So when people cross over, right, their spirit, people say, oh, lights flip on. I see them, I feel them, the energies, because they're in a different vibration that's just a little higher vibration than this vibration we're in now. Right. So So our soul self resides, in a different dimensional reality, before, during, and after, right, this lifetime. And so before we each came in to this incarnation, we sort of had a blueprint. I like to see it as almost like at a conference table with my team and my guides, and okay, Tamaey, you're going to go to Earth School, and what is it that you want to experience in this incarnation, right? So it's sort of broad, right? But you want to learn compassion or forgiveness, or you want to be super duper wealthy, or you want to be homeless. There are things that you want to experience, because this journey is about soul acceleration, accelerating your soul, evolving your soul.
Yep.
Right. So you come into this reality, into this incarnation, and the people who are in your lives, your parents and your siblings, that's your soul group that you came into this incarnation with, right? And all the other husbands, wives, boyfriends, etc., are just the players in this school that agreed to play their parts in your story, right? So if you look at your history, there are themes, there are things that you've gone through. Maybe it's abuse, maybe it's poverty, maybe it's, there are a lot of different themes, right, that we come in. And so that's what we call, this is Earth School. It's a school, and even though we're experiencing all these things, it's really a remembering. So it's a very intricate way of which we don't need to get into, but we're here to experience school. We're here like going to college, right?
Yes. Yep, I understand. Yep, thank you for that. It's always interesting to have someone explain that, because to me it's it's so interesting. It just gives you that other behind the scenes look of what really is going on. And and I think in a way it gives people hope that when you pass away, you're not gone. You really aren't gone. And this is a whole new way of looking at death, and it's a whole new way of looking at transition. And if people would grasp onto that, it just changes your whole look at your life and what goes on again after life.
Well,
and of course, it's a choice. It's a choice to believe it.
I couldn't talk about this had I not experienced it. So when I was diagnosed with stage 3 cancer last year, I was pretty devastated, and I'd gone through so much in my life. I just thought, wow, I don't even know if I really struggled with being on Earth, right? Because I'd been through so much. I'm tired.
Sure.
I was ready to go home in a lot of ways. So I thought, okay, maybe, that creating this cancer experience was my way of transitioning. So with that thought, I went to bed one night right before I started my chemotherapy and my radiation. And fortunately, I only lost half my hair, right?
Well,
the
that's
vein
great.
part.
Good.
It's really thin, but at least it's coming back. But I crossed over in my sleep. I died in my sleep. And what was fascinating, Janet, was I wish I could tell you the seamlessness. All of a sudden, I was outside of my body, in the void, in the space, and going, oh, I can't believe how easy I slept into non-physical. I was just blown away. And my first thought was that. And then I thought, if people only knew how ridiculous all the small stuff is, if the pettiness, if you're vegan, if you're vegetarian, if you gave up coffee, all this bullshit stuff, I thought people have no idea how ridiculous, none of it matters. But what I do know is that I was more alive and I was my real self. I just transitioned. This heaviness, this human body is so heavy.
Yes.
And that I was so excited. And the only reason I didn't cross over permanently that night is it was like I was in my experience, but my honey was beside me. I happened to stay at his place overnight.
Yeah.
And I just remember my physical arm touching his body and going, if I go home now, I'm going to miss out on that.
Oh, nice.
And it was a really, really, it makes me cry.
Yeah, it's beautiful. It's a good
Because I
reason.
wanted to go home.
Yeah, it's a
So
tough choice. It's a
yeah.
tough choice. I can understand that. Yeah.
So I'm sorry, I didn't mean to get home.
Oh, I'm glad you did, because it just shows how real it was.
Yeah.
It shows how real it was. Thank you.
And my guide said to me, Tamaey, you can come home. We
Yeah.
know how hard this has been. But,
Yeah.
but you would not have fulfilled your mission. And we know that when you got here permanently, you would regret that.
Yes.
And that's what pulled me back into my body. So here I am, a few months later going, wow, my work's not done.
Mm-hmm.
And so anybody, we all have that. We all have a mission, a purpose for being here. Your purpose, Janet, and others listening in, is important and significant. And everyone has their thing that they're great at, right? That they're maybe it's not to build, makes me bonkers when I hear, you got to build a big business. You got to step into this big impact. And, but maybe it's just being the waitress on the corner, sharing your beautiful spirit.
This is true. I've understood that. I did. Yeah. That I think is wonderful. Important to just say, I don't have to be this big mega star, because everyone thinks they have to be a star, a movie star, a fancy star, earn tons of money. But I a while ago, I said, I don't have to do that. I don't have to. And it's not that important to me, but I'm willing to do whatever I need to do to get to help people. Yeah. So I offered that out to the universe, and I said, give me something that I'm ready to do next, because there's something I have to do next. Yeah. Well, here I am. I'm doing this. It was never on my calendar.
So look how you stepped into your fear or your resistance, because it was new and you'd never done this before. And, and now this conversation is going to help, activate something within your remembering, because I just ignited the remembering. I didn't really teach you anything, not you or anybody listening in. That's why I say Earth School, we're not really learning anything. We're just remembering who we already are.
Yeah, that makes so much sense. Yeah. I've heard that sentence so many times, but now that you've said it and you put it in all the context you have today, it totally has now completely embedded itself in me. And now I get it, totally get it. Yeah.
And that's my work on this planet, to help people remember who they are, that they have the power within them to manifest any reality, that it's not really magic and miracles, even though it feels like that in this reality, but that we do have the power within us to live it and be it and do it and dream it and just expect it, because that's what this experience was really all about.
Right. And when they say we're so much more powerful than we know, this is what you're talking about. Exactly this. Yeah. Exactly this.
And it's just our belief in ourselves. Our confidence has been shaken. We have programs and patterns from childhood that we're not good enough, that we're not smart enough, so we've got to do the work to unravel that piece. But as you do, you start to reconnect with that inner aspect of you that is encouraging you and cheering you on every step of the way. Right. And as you step into what's uncomfortable, your confidence builds. And then that starts to be the new pattern that you create for yourself. And then you're like, whoa, Tamaey, but how did you get here? Just that right there. One little step at a time. One little step
important. It's all small steps. Very few of us have the big leaps all the time. Every once in a while we get it, but it's really just constantly taking those small steps.
That's right. So, and most people stop too soon. The only difference from successful people to who aren't, it's not that they're more special or prettier or got better friends. It's because they just kept going.
Yes, kept going. That is the truth. That is the truth. That's why never give up is part of my mantra, even though so many times I went, nope. And it's just, it's my simple way of saying what you're saying. So many beautiful words. Well, thank you, Tamaey. And I know you do channel, and I was just going to ask real quick if you have anything particular to say to anyone in 2019, if there's something they need to hear.
That the time of lack and limitation and victim consciousness is over. our planet has ascended. We are now in a fifth dimensional reality, which is a higher vibrational planet that we are all living on now. And that the old way, the old limiting, lack and limitation mindsets were part of the old third dimensional reality, right? So we don't need to get caught up. It's just low. 3D is low vibration, 5D is high vibration. And so if there's contrast or a gap in your life, it's because your higher self is flushing out these old beliefs from the old paradigm, the old matrix, the old 3D world that has crumbled. So if there's a lot of angst in your life, it's a gift, because it's all of that internal stuff that's coming to surface to be honored, looked at, blessed, and released. So this fifth dimensional reality that we are in now is one of abundance and magic and miracles and creating. And all we got to do is, what do I want? What do you want? What do you want?
Oh, Tammy, I think
I'm here. Oh, there we go.
I think we went over our time. That's why it's going so long. I apologize, but it's been so magical. Yeah. I have to thank you. I know you have a gift.
Yes.
And I don't know if you want to say a couple minutes about it, a minute or so about it.
Sure. So it's really just about what we talked about today. 3 simple steps to creating miracles and magic in your life. And, you can click on the link that Janet sends out to go to my website, TamaeysGottuso.com. It's hard to spell, so don't try. Just click the link, and you can access that free ebook. And email if you have any questions. At the bottom of the ebook is my personal email, and I'd be honored to chat or answer any questions that you have.
Thank you, Tammy.
You're so welcome,
I just have to ask our audience to just write in and tell us how much you like the show. To me, this show is just absolutely fantastic. You've just blown my world apart in so many ways with a new thinking, new thought. It's just been amazing to me. So thank you so much, Tammy, for your evolutionary sharing and how you own your divine light, and how this is helping so many people achieve their dreams, unlock their passions, and finally create the life they love. Thank you so much again for just the most beautiful sharing. I really, really love it. It was beautiful. Thank you so much. And I'm Janet Miller, and I will catch you on the next episode. Thank you.